Hello and welcome to the Roughneck Minute, a Movies by Minute podcast where we go over the movie Starship Troopers 1 minute at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Matthew.
And I'm your other host, Johann.
And we're at minute 52. This minute begins with the Klendathu system showing up on that screen and ends with Rico reconsidering his request to drop out. That's a tongue twister. Rico reconsidering his
request to drop out.
Oh, you butt. I hate you.
Yeah, but I mess up a lot of words that it shouldn't be messed up anyways. For some reason, I can do tongue twisters really well, but then when I talk about certain other things, like saying butter, if I get too excited, I mess it up.
Butter. Ooh.
Yeah. Sometimes I forget certain letters, so...
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, we see that the bug meter actually came from the Klendathu system. It looks like a ringed system or a normal like kind of system that we have as well too, except it looks like it has... we see the Klendathu system and it looks like it has around 5 planets surrounding it besides its 2-sun system.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's answered later on in a couple minutes.
Yeah. The scene changes on the screen and we see the devastation of Buenos Aires. And everything's on fire. Actually, a lot of this stuff looked like stock footage from California fires in the early 90s.
Yeah. It does look like stock footage, because like even the crumbling bridge, like it seems like I've seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised as all of this is stock footage, considering what else they blew their budget on. And it's honestly not even a Hollywood secret that a lot of people use stock footage. Even one of the ones that's most notable to me is Beer Fest. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. I love Beer Fest, actually.
So there's that scene early in the beginning where they're supposed to like run out into the crowd of like Beer Fest or whatever. And it's actually stock footage of like some fair in California. And they just like use it because they didn't have any footage that they could just use of Beer Fest.
Didn't they like do a part in that movie where they just like did a voiceover of like, oh guys, look what we're doing. This is fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the same thing, right?
Yeah. That one is one of my favorite movies with commentary. If anybody has it, there's 2 sets of commentary where it's half of the Broken Lizard and the other half of the Broken Lizard. And they try and in the beginning they're like, oh, so you came to the better commentary, huh?
That's a great movie.
That's actually where I heard that where that stock footage came from, because they kind of filmed everything pretty local. They didn't have a huge budget, but I mean, it's not a big secret that company or movies would use stock footage. In fact, there's companies that just generate stock footage to sell. So that's why all those flames and all that, it looks a little bit weaker than what it should be. Because I think if a giant asteroid that had its own gravitational pull landed in Buenos Aires, there wouldn't be much flames. Like everything would just be like rubble and a huge dip in the landscape.
Oh, we'll definitely get to that in a second, because the scene changes on the screen a little bit and shows Buenos Aires and tragedy in Buenos Aires, basically. Zooms in a little bit and shows kind of like a red marker, kind of like that, you know how you can nuke your town like with the Google Maps or whatever it is with like the certain kilotons and everything.
Yeah.
There's a little map of that over the map of Buenos Aires as well, too. And it looks like the whole entire city is just gone.
Yeah, but there's like at 5110, there's a footage of like a gigantic house on fire.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that's weird is there's a house on the top left that's just fine.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I know it's just stock footage, but I wouldn't think that things would just be on fire.
Well, this could be... Sorry, go ahead.
It's just I think the impact would be so immense that the cloud that it would kick up would immediately smother any flames.
All right, let's get into that then.
Yeah, I just think that it would have been a crater, and I think it would have been bigger than just Buenos Aires.
Oh, definitely it would. I mean, in the little next scene where it shows that kind of, you know, nuke your town overlay of Buenos Aires, it shows all this devastation and everything. What I'm thinking is that stock footage that has all the houses on fire and everything is actually the outskirts of that red circle The inner of that red circle is just gone. Is what I'm thinking.
Okay, that makes sense. But it also looks like Orange County.
I mean, it definitely is Orange County. The way that makes me think of it is it's no secret that I'm a big fan of the Japanese anime Gundam. And in Gundam, during the 1 Year War, towards the very end of the 1 Year War, Zeon is the bad guys in the Nazi-looking mobile suits, space Nazis. Call back to that. They decide to commit a horrible atrocity, kind of like the bugs do, and try to drop a empty colony on top of the Federal Forces base. And unfortunately, it goes wrong, and it lands in Sydney, Australia, wiping Sydney, Australia off the map. Yeah, so like there are maps in like the Gundam universe where there's just a big chunk of, continent taken, or a big chunk of land taken off of Australia. And even in one of the later OVAs in what is it called, Stardust Memory, which is a great, it's an 80s version of Gundam that it can be kind of interpreted as like a Top Gun style thing of Gundam. It's great. I actually recommend it. It's like about maybe 9 episodes long. If you really want to get into Gundam, that's a great way to do it. But their first episode, they have one of the ships going over what used to be Sydney, Australia, and they're all like, "Yeah, we're actually over Australia right now. We're in the crater, and it's just a humongous crater."
Okay,
so that's what I'm thinking. That Buenos Aires, the city proper, where Johnny lived, the school and everything, pretty much everyone in the town center of Buenos Aires, that whole entire big city center that we saw at the very beginning of the movie at the education center, is just gone. It's just blown to bits. It's not even there anymore.
Okay. Well, I kind of like the way they have that continuity then. Like you take that gamble of writing off an entire continent and then you keep it that way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of good, I guess. Like, well, you've seen almost every single Gundam, so I'm sure like the chronological things of what should and shouldn't be there.
Yeah, they accidentally do it again in that Stardust Memory. They try to drop another colony, but that one lands in North America.
Oh, okay.
Basically, the whole entire idea, again, and then they do it again, or they try to do it again in Char's Counterattack, which is a movie that takes place way later. Basically, their whole entire idea is to make Earth so not habitable that it has to make people leave Earth and live up in space, because, hey, space noids and people who live in space are better than people who live on the Earth because their souls are weighed down by gravity, or so they say.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really weird thing, but I mean, just the whole entire thing of like, oh no, we want to drop a colony, we want to drop an asteroid on Earth to make sure no one lives there anymore. Kind of just a hilarious thing.
That's kind of screwed up.
Yeah, I mean, but again, space Nazis.
Yeah, it's one of those if I can't have it, no one can type of situation.
It's more of a, I think that my way of living is better, so I want you to stop living your way.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
But we get a little view of Rico and Dizzy, and they are visibly upset. Dizzy actually does say that, Johnny, that's us. That's home.
Yeah.
And
actually some good acting with like even the crowd. The crowd work is actually pretty good. Like everybody's just like in disbelief. 5116, there's a guy in the back left. I'm not sure if that one is one of the guys I was laughing earlier before, but that's actually a good, like, I'm like super shocked.
Oh yeah. I don't think it's him because the other guy had a hat on as well too, but no, he does look definitely shocked.
Yeah, well, that's why I was wondering, like, well, you can always just take the hat off because they're not going to make sure that part is always like the continuity and that is correct, but at least they got made sure that everybody's facing the camera is all doing the same thing this time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not it's like what they did with Jaws. How's Steven Spielberg, the way he directed everybody. He said like, okay, a shark's coming up from the water. He's chewing some legs. You're all terrified.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he just made sure that everybody was like on the same page when they're doing the scene when they're running from the beach.
Yeah,
And
when
it
in
seems
fact
like
it was
this,
like, oh, go ahead.
but it seems like that's what they did in this scene. They made sure everybody was on the same page before they started filming.
Yeah, I mean, in that scene, is especially it's on one of the making of Jaws and everything, and yeah, they basically tell everyone, "Hey, the kid's been eaten. Everyone, there's blood in the water. Everyone, you need to run out, or you're gonna get eaten." And everyone just freaks out. But that's a scene where they have the kids using the fake fin, and it's perfect because yeah, everyone freaks out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, the thing that was really good about that movie with the way it was done was that no one in the movie really cared about the shark except the people that was watching it.
Yeah,
So it had that really delicate balance of how the people were acting, like they weren't afraid of the shark. Like us, when you're watching it, you're like kind of in this tense moment. So every time you see the fin, you freak out, but to them, they're like, "Oh, look at you, good prank! I fell
yeah.
for it."
No, that movie is great. When they did that re-release, I want to say maybe about 10 years ago or 12 years ago, where they had like it was like a DVD re-release and everything, and it said, this summer we're going to give you another reason to not go in the water, blah blah blah. That was a great kind of thing, and it really got me into that movie again because I've only read the book a couple times and seen the movie like on HBO or TBS or anything, but that one just made me a fan for life. Beforehand, I really liked the older other Jaws, is like Jaws 2 and Jaws 3D.
Oh, geez. I remember 3D. We didn't. I remember it coming out and my dad saying we weren't going to watch that. But we did watch the first Jaws and the second one. So it was like, I guess he knew that this one wasn't going to be good. So we avoided it.
But it was good. It's Jaws in SeaWorld.
Yeah, but, well, all right. So from our point of view, we this was when we were in the Philippines. So we didn't get 3D.
Oh, honestly, I've never seen it in 3D anyway. The only part that I remember that was like 3D viable was at the very end when the shark explodes and you see those goofy like jawbones just come out at you.
Yeah, but this was at the time where you're just like, well, because we're watching it like on VHS at the time. So we really miss out on a lot of things that could have been in 3D, and it just made it look cheesy. In fact, I'm going through the IMDb page and I'm looking at the effects that should have been in 3D, and they're horrible. They're really bad. They're like, you can tell what was supposed to stand out because it seems to be filmed on a completely different like it's hard to explain. It was filmed separately, like all the 3D aspect, and then it was layered on top of the regular film. Yeah. So that's what gave it the effect that it was standing out if you were wearing a particular set of glasses.
No, I remember one part of it too, specifically because the shark looked so bad at that point as well too, but they were underneath in that little like underwater maze or whatever it was, and the Jaws offspring was coming at the thing about to hit it. And it just had this, it was going so slow, so robotic and everything, but it looked like a toy. And that was one of the parts that I assumed was all 3D as well too, which, back in, the 80s, early 80s, yeah, probably would have scared the crap out of me. But nowadays I'm just like, yeah, that's funny. Yeah. And let's not talk about Jaws Revenge. Not at all. Let's actually get back to our movie.
Yeah, all right.
Starship
let's
Troopers.
do that.
So I have a question, and it's been a lingering question since we started this movie. And you and I have talked about this off mic, but we're gonna officially bring it up right here.
Yes, I'll go to prom with you.
Okay, well, that's one item off my list that I need to check off. Thank you very much.
You're
my
welcome.
Second one.
You make me feel like the prettiest girl in school.
I got to get the best corsage for you. I have a room ready. It has a hot tub and everything.
Is it a heart-shaped hot tub?
Yes, it is. It's at the Best Western in Milwaukee.
Only the best for me. You pull out all the stops.
As long as I can get in that dress.
All right.
My second one, since we've been watching this movie and since we've been friends pretty much, was did the federal government, did the Federation allow this asteroid to hit BA?
Yeah, I know we've been talking about this for a while. Um, there's just a couple of things about it that I want to say yes because of the earlier the "Would you like to know more" commercials where the rocket can knock out that like any asteroid that's going to threaten the Earth. But a couple here's some of the reasons why I don't think that it they allowed it to happen. First off, we talked about that rocket thinking like, how does it seek that asteroid and everything like that?
Well, I want to make one point as well, too. That whole entire "Would you like to know more" thing at the very beginning of the movie actually takes place after BA got hit.
Oh,
Technically,
that's right.
So
That's right.
but the thing is, they still had those emplacements set up. So,
So
that whole
so
entire thing was that whole entire thing was made to say, "Hey, we have the technology now that we can kill any bug asteroid that comes near us." But they've always
okay,
already had that.
so that rocket in space is like a reactant to this tragedy.
Yes, that's basically saying, "Hey, remember?" Well, it's not saying, "Hey, remember BA," but it's just like retroactively saying, "Hey, you know that asteroid that probably happened in the middle of the movie? Well, we can kill it now."
Yeah. Well, here's a couple of the things though. Like what, even if they kind of had those things in place, the minute an asteroid kind of gets by you, that's it.
True.
There's no way to chase it with a rocket, especially in space. Like that still doesn't make sense.
I mean, you can do a whole entire Iron Giant thing and launch an ICBM at it, or an Iron
Yeah.
Giant at it, and
Yeah, but the Iron Giant was on planet Earth. He was going to the asteroid. This one is trying to chase the asteroid.
well, you don't think that the federal government doesn't have like ICBM or missile emplacements on Earth itself?
Depends on how fast it's going.
True,
Remember, this thing was going at an incredible speed.
sublight speed apparently.
Yeah. So those are kind of the things that make me think that they just weren't ready for something like this. Because remember, we were talking about it. None of the bugs kind of are planning this sort of an attack.
Mhm.
They may just be launching meteors through space, and this one happens to hit Earth. So maybe Ben, this is the first time it ever happened.
Yeah,
Like kind of like those rockets in orbit now is like the TSA for airports.
So,
No,
but the thing is, the TSA doesn't help us out at all.
No, it doesn't. But it's kind of what I mean. It just didn't come into play. Like they had some security measures, but didn't really they didn't step it up until this happened.
So I'll agree to that stuff. Maybe they didn't have the technology to allow this, but what if they? I mean, okay. So say that the federal government has perfectly control over its solar system. Say that we know what's going on within at least Earth's sphere, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So the federal government knows what's going on from here to the moon and maybe a little bit beyond, maybe say Mars or something like that. Because I'm pretty sure if they have a ring system or a ring station around the moon, they probably have some stuff going on in Mars or maybe a few outer planets as well too.
Okay. I'll feed into that for a sec.
Okay. The Roger Young could not tell the federal government or fleet that, hey, an asteroid's on its way. But if it's not able, if it's not able to, I'm pretty sure even still an asteroid of that size would have been picked up on the radar of pretty much every system within a few million kilometers of Earth.
Okay.
Okay. Even if they did not have the capability to stop it, why didn't they let everyone know in BA or any trajectory where it was going to land or anything? Why didn't they let them know? Hey, that's coming. And what I'm saying is they may have known about it, but they did nothing to stop it. Kind of like the whole entire theory about George Bush knew that 9/11 was going to happen, but did nothing to let it happen so he can get rich on the military industrial complex and all that other stuff.
Well, here's the thing that I thought of about that idea. When the Roger Young had its path of where it's supposed to go, I'm assuming it was to triangulate if anything happens. Like they send the ships off at different times at different places, so if something happens, something's always there. and Roger Young veered off its path, which left a gap, and then losing its communication only made it worse.
So,
So I think because Roger Young was near Jupiter, it was like the furthest point from Earth, maybe, from among the other ships, that left that gap of communication. So by the time it reached, let's see, wherever Jupiter, past Mars, no one's stationed on Mars yet, until the animated movie of Mars Invasion. By then, it's already passing Earth's moon.
Okay.
So there's no one in the gap to actually signal about the asteroid to try and get something ready, whatever. But I think even if someone saw it at the speed it was going and the size of the asteroid, if those rockets weren't in place, they knew it was going to be an imminent attack. That all they could do is try and figure out, okay, where's it gonna land, and then only the top brass would be able to position themselves if they were in danger. That being said, if they could calculate that it was about to hit BA, that they already had the plans for counterattack ready. And
okay.
there is kind of evidence of that in the script that didn't make it into the movie, but that's a couple minutes later, so I'll bring that up when it comes around.
All right. Well, until then, I'm still under the assumption that, even if the government did not know about it, they let it happen. I'm sorry. Even if the government could not do anything about it, they let it happen because they wanted to go to war. And they needed something to go to war with, and the bugs were a perfect scapegoat.
Well, based on the FedNet, because it's controlled by military, they don't need a reason to go to war necessarily. Obviously this does speed up the plans, but I think even if they knew the asteroid was coming, or even if they didn't, there's no way to stop it. I don't think the Earth had the defenses needed to stop this particular asteroid turned meteor.
Okay, well, we can get into my crazy other theories about Aragon energy and dark magic and what happened to BA and how it probably was some crazy Satanist conspiracy and everything like that, to where Satanist magical sigil and everything. But we can get into that later. Let's continue on with the movie.
So do you think what's the name of the council?
But you mean the federal council?
Yeah, is it just a federal council?
I think so. Everything's pretty much just a federation.
Okay, so you're saying that behind closed doors, they were just thinking for the greater good.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the greater good.
Stop that!
Oh, man.
That's such a good movie.
It really is.
I saw that in theaters. That was a great movie to watch in theaters.
I did not see that one in theaters. I saw Shaun of the Dead in theaters, but I had a bootleg of that before it came to the U.S.
Oh, yeah, I went to see it in theaters, and it was I was laughing so hard in that movie. But it was weird because it seemed like people were kind of caught off guard of what type of film it was.
Yeah.
That was basically the dry British humor. At the time, it didn't seem like a lot of those films were making it out here, and it was still kind of like a niche type crowd in certain areas, especially in Temecula. If anybody knows where Southern California, some of the cities around here, Temecula is kind of at the time it was kind of a boony town. Now it's starting to become like a Southern California wine country.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, yeah, the crowd that was there just didn't get a lot of the humor. There's a couple walkouts.
I don't know why. I mean, it was in the middle of the whole entire zombie craze, so I mean, why not?
Yeah, but I think it was just the humor.
Okay,
because we were laughing our ass off, and I think there's just some people that were just like, I don't get this, and then they left. There's that scene where they were throwing the vinyl records at the zombie.
Yeah.
So they're going through the record collection, and when they say the Batman movie,
mm-hmm.
and he's like, throw it. Me and the friends I went with at the time, all three of us just yell at the screen, no!
Yeah, I like the Batman soundtrack. I mean, Bat Rap is great.
I know, but it was just so funny because we just screamed no at the screen. Right then he's like, Batman soundtrack, throw it. No! But yeah, there was a couple walkouts because I don't know. I really think people didn't get the humor at the time.
Yeah. Well, they turned around pretty fast after Shaun of the Dead, and other people decided, hey, that actually this is a good movie.
Yeah, I think it's one of those I probably had to rewatch it a couple times to understand the humor. Much like a couple viewings of like Monty Python, and for some people.
Yeah.
So, anyways, there's also a little stock footage of more. There's a lot of stock footage of fires and whatnot over here. There's a mega explosion of something blowing up.
Yeah. What I'm thinking is, how like they have one thing I actually reminded me of quite a bit of it when I watched this or when we watch it, North Korea propaganda. They'll have a lot of stock footage of stuff like planes flying, missiles taking off, and everything. And it's who knows if this stuff is even from BA.
Well,
this is my conspiracy theory mind going again.
Yeah, your assumption is all these fires are in the surrounding areas of BA.
BA didn't even happen. It's just a false flag.
See, I think if I'm still in that thing, if BA was smashed by a meteor, there wouldn't be fires. I think like it would have exploded, huge impact, and any fires would have been just removed by the dust that's falling back to the ground, and some of the dust getting stuck in the atmosphere.
I get that, but I'm thinking it may have happened if there's like sequential earthquakes after the hit, and these people are like having their gas lines explode and stuff.
Well, remember this thing just dwarfed the Roger Young.
True.
So let's just assume that this thing is maybe 2 tons. Like let's see. Give it.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's give it 1.5, possibly like some parts burn off by the time it goes through Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah, because if it's a heavy enough asteroid to have that own gravity, it has a thick iron core, so I want to say maybe it's still holding on to at least 2/3 of its size after it gets into the atmosphere, after it burns off all the outer stuff.
Yeah, so that's why it just makes me think that that if it did hit Buenos Aires, it wouldn't just send or make everything fall into flames.
Yeah.
I really think there would have been maybe a flash of fire because certain things combusting from the impact, but it wouldn't continue a flame. I think everything would have been quelched by the dust reaching or falling back to the earth, because there'd be too much of it, that everything would be suffocated.
Okay. So you're saying that the federal government firebombed those houses then?
Possibly.
Yeah, coming over to my side.
No, or it could just be outlying stuff getting damaged as well, like impact, because there would be like air bursts everywhere.
Yeah. And also so debris also coming back down, like if they're big enough chunks, kind of like that one scene in Rogue One where the Death Star actually hits that city. There are pieces that keep falling down as well too, but it would be kind of like that, except it would be like molten rock and everything.
Yeah, and there would obviously be some damage from a sonic boom that size.
Yeah, true.
So I think there would be a lot of damage on the fallout of the meteor, but I don't think Buenos Aires should be on fire.
No, I don't think so either. Especially if something is on fire. I mean, like, look at nuclear explosions and everything. Like, it does start on fire because of the heat wave and everything, but then everything just goes out because of the shock wave.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I can see that.
So yeah, I mean, if it's far away enough, it could still burst on fire, but not get too affected by the heat wave. But let's actually kind of get beyond this, and we can continue that conversation on our Facebook group, the Roughneck Minute Billet, if you guys want to continue this, because, man, this is a good one.
Yeah.
But let's continue on, and we get a scene change a little bit. That's first Johnny actually goes off and runs away from the screen to, I guess, follow where we're going right now, which is the Commandant's commander, or whatever his name is. The commander is what we'll call him. Commander Dean.
Yeah. Which was next to the build, because we did see it. It's right next to Washout Lane. Johnny turns around and kind of takes a left, so he's running kind of directly back behind him to go back to the HQ.
Yeah, but we see that Zim is following behind Commander Dean and basically saying, "Hey, I want combat action." He's wanting the same thing as Johnny does right now, because I mean, I can already tell that Johnny wants to go fight. His home's gone.
Yeah.
So he wants this.
Yeah, and I think he's just being the patriot that he is. He sees there's going to be a fight instead of being a, let's say, like a manager. Like you're just in the back kind of, well, he's not really a manager, but instead of just training people, he wants to be in the front with everybody.
Yeah, he's feeling the whole entire, I want to fight, I'm not doing anything right now, I'm just training pukes, I want to go out and kill some stuff.
Yeah.
But Dean tells him, hey, you know what, you're not going to see any combat unless you bust yourself down to private.
You get me? Yes, sir, I get you.
And Rico comes in and says, sir! He's like, what do you want, Rico?
Sir, I wish to reconsider my request to drop out, sir.
There we go. Rico reconsidering his request to drop out. Yeah, I did it. But that's where that minute ends.
Well, that's a good way to end it.
Definitely.
Suspenseful.
Yeah,
What's going to happen afterwards?
Well, we'll find out in the next minute, actually.
Yeah, if you actually haven't seen this movie and you keep in time with what we're talking about, this is a very suspenseful moment.
And God bless you if you're doing that, because, I mean, you're just watching this pretty much 3 minutes every single week. Good for you, man.
Oh my God. I couldn't do that.
Neither could I. I mean, that's really odd. I actually really like listening to the movies by minute format. I have a few subscribed, and most of them are ones that I can pretty much replay in my mind, and I'll go back to that one and be like, huh, yeah, that was one. Or that was something. But do you have anything else you want to talk about this minute in particular?
No, I don't have anything about this minute.
All right, well, let's end it there then. Where can they find you, Johann?
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitch at JDASHD26. And you can also find me on Twitter at OMG It's Johann.
And you guys can find me at AltTabMatt pretty much anywhere on the internet as well, too. But you can follow the show at The Roughneck Min on Twitter, MIN. You can go to our website to see any of you can go to our website to see any of our past episodes or show notes at theroughneckminute.podbean.com. Or you can continue the conversation, talk to us about some crazy conspiracy theories about, was it an inside job? Did BA knowingly get hit and was allowed to get hit by the federal government at our Facebook group, the Roughneck Minute Billet, BILLET.
Yeah, maybe they're going to replace BA with like Freedom City or something like that.
There we go. That works really good. But you can also go ahead and please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes, Google Play, or any other podcatcher you guys can find us on. But that's going to be it for us, guys. I've been one of your hosts, Matthew.
And I've been your other host, Johann.
We'll see you on the Bounce Troopers.